What's really important when you lose weight? Dr. Miller here with another video on fitness, nutrition, sports performance, strength conditioning, all things that are under this umbrella. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I would urge you to do so. It's absolutely urgent that you do this. Subscribe and check out some of these other videos I've released on different topics in the field. But today, what are we really chasing when somebody's trying to lose weight or before we're trying to lose weight? By the way, I'm not sponsored by Under Armour. This is just from my enormous collection of dad t-shirts. I'm not that cool to be sponsored by a international clothing company. So what are we really chasing though? Well, many people when they start say, I want to weigh X amount of pounds. I want to get down 10 pounds or whatever it is. And in terms of the health spectrum, of course, that's important. In terms of weight class sport, that could be important. But in terms of those things that's more in the line of aesthetics, is it really important that we drop on the scale? So if your BMI is reasonable, what I mean by that is if you're in that normal range, which is 19 all the way up to 24 and a half, let's say it's 24.99999, okay? And then you get in the overweight range, which is 25 to 29.99999, and then obese. Now, if you're in the obese category or the upper range of the overweight category, getting down in weight is a important health outcome. Now, it still matters what you're made of. So if you're more muscular, you could probably hang out at the upper end of that BMI spectrum and probably be as healthy as somebody who's lighter and has a different body composition. Big people still die faster. That's just the reality of it. I mean, I'm in for it, okay? I'm still a big guy, and so, it does, decrease your life expectancy regardless. But the point is if you're not thinking that, well, I'm doing this for my health, you're thinking, I just want to look and feel good, which is what most people want to do. And the nice thing is health usually go along with that. You have to figure out what you're assessing. So is the scale really that important? What if you stay the exact same weight, but look the way you wanted? Okay, now make sure the image that's in your head for who you want to look like is the same body type, is realistic. Are you looking at a famous athlete, has no life stress, has a professional chef cooking for them? All they do is work out every day. Well, I mean, I had that for a stretch in college, and yeah, I got pretty awesome too. 265 pounds and 11% body fat. That was amazing, hitting 6,000 plus calories a day. It's a great life, but that's not realistic anymore. There's no way that would be realistic anymore. And so, that image of what I was when I was younger, that's another thing, right? That's many, many years ago, is not the same of what is a reasonable expectation now. That doesn't mean I can't be jacked and lean and all those things, but I need to be realistic in how I get there, and can I really hold those levels? The answer may be yes, but only you can decide that. Is the scale though going to be my final determinant if I'm successful? I would argue it shouldn't be by itself. Okay, and this is what I'm getting. Even some of the body comp analysis, they're so riddled with error. You have to be careful with them. So triangulate data, triangulate data when you lose weight. That way you stay out of cutting so hard that you enter a range that is not sustainable. If you lose 20 pounds and you weighed 180, now you weigh 160, that's going to be tough to hold, especially if you're at the end of your cut, you're hardly eating anything. That's not a sustainable cut. And what I mean by that is, and of course you're not going to sustain the cut, but when you come back up and say, I'm going to maintenance now, hopefully that's been a plan, you might find the calories are just not enough. And along the way, you lost so much lean mass now that it's going to make it even harder, because that lean mass is metabolically active. It's going to be a little bit harder for you to maintain. So you want to set yourself up for success. So if you lost, instead of 20 pounds, you lost even 5. But, and this is one of my favorite measurements, you're measuring your waist, and you notice your waist came in 2 inches, and you lost 5 pounds, and you dropped a pant size or 2 dress sizes or whatever it is. You could be in the zone now where you're like, you know what, this is how I want to look. This is how I want to feel. And the scale only moved 5 pounds. And the food you're eating is still realistic in terms of how much. The lean mass, if you did your cut properly and you lifted weights and you ate a proper amount of protein, you're in a position now, lean mass wise, you might have even gained a little bit if you haven't been training. At the worst, you maintained, and now you go into maintenance. You can even slowly build lean mass over time. You're going to become even more metabolically active, and because you have more calories as part of your maintenance, you can train harder with more quality. You start creating more margin for yourself, for more realistic, expectations for long term. So you can eat off plan a little bit more. You can eat things that are a little bit higher in calories for, within reason, of course, but you can have more of those opportunities, cheat meals, whatever you want to call them, than opposed to dropping an enormous amount of weight, realizing you can't maintain it, and then rebounding back up to where you were, but this time your body composition's worse. So here's some combos. I'll finish up with this. Use weight. If you don't have a in-body scanner or some decent form of body composition, and remember, that's not something to stand on by itself either, but here's some other things you can do. The scale, obviously, waist measurement. Now, when we do waist measurements in exercise science, there's a couple ways to do it, but for simplicity and help with some error, and yes, this landmark's going to change, put the tape right over your belly button. Basically what we're saying is this is one spot. So even if it's not traditionally what we call the waist, it's still a landmark area on your body. And how you pull the tape tight or not, of course, can influence how, the result. A Gullick tape is nice, a spring-loaded tape, but even a Taylor's tape, if you just try to keep that, how much you pull on it the same, roughly. Make sure the tape is level and not twisted. Peek at it in the mirror before you pull. Make sure you know what you're doing when you pull the tape. In other words, like you're looking on the right side. Inches, centimeters, doesn't matter. Pull that tape. So you can do that. And then the other one is clothing. Clothes never lie. Never lie. So if you're a little bit tighter in the shoulders, but your waist is, you're noticing that you got a little more room in your waist, your pants are fitting looser. Okay, you got a dress that's fitting a little bit differently, and the waist, it's really loose, but you're noticing it's a little tighter in your arms, that's probably a good sign, right? And you could say, well, the scale hasn't moved. Who cares, right? You're seeing positive change in body composition. So again, some of these combinations that can occur. Scale doesn't move, waist is coming down, pant size, dress size is coming down. Nothing to worry about. Scale's coming down, all three are going down. Cool. Now, you could have the scale come up and those others go down. If again, this is kind of a psychological approach, you'd have to be okay with that, right? Like the scale, I'm gaining weight, but I'm seeing these markers come down. Who cares what the scale says? Okay. If you just have the scale by itself, you freak out, right? You think, oh my gosh, I'm gaining weight. But it could be that you're just gaining some lean mass, and that rate of lean mass, and remember, lean mass includes body water, that rate of lean mass could be increasing what's going on in the scale. And I've seen that happen in particular big men. When they first start out, they either level off or even gain a little bit, but it's the amount of pull in the abdominal area, because that's where we usually go to fat stores first, especially if you're hyper fat. You pull in a lot of body fat in that midsection. Scale's not moving, but pant sizes are dropping and inches are coming off quickly. And then at some point, there's a tipping point, whether it's about a month and a half, the scale starts to nose down and it moves down pretty quickly. Okay, now I've seen that happen where you immediately lose weight in the same type of individual, but I see it more commonly in men who are a little bit bigger because they tend to be a little bit more muscular. All right, that can happen to anybody though. That's why I would encourage you to pull tape, at least in your waist, what we're calling the belly button. Check out, if you have a body scanner or a body composition device, cool, but just throw it in the mix. Don't just say, this is my only way of assessing, because it has error in it as well. Clothing fit, and then the scale itself. Keep tabs on all those. You don't have to be obsessive about it. The scale, you could measure as much as you psychologically can handle, and I mean that in all seriousness. 3 times a week, every day, if you like to do that, as long as you're okay with the ups and downs, and then pull a tape, once or twice a week. And then if you have any scanners or anything like that, you could do those once every 2 weeks. And then if you have, of course, if you wear clothes at all, then you can check that every day, right, against itself. That pair of pants, how did it feel today as compared to the other day? You start to get a picture of what's really going on. Don't let the scale run your life. Don't let it fool you. You have to have these other measurements to track progress. Check what you're thinking. Is it really the scale you want? Is it really your scale? Would you like to weigh, 130 pounds and feel terrible and not really look the way you thought, or weigh 140 pounds and feel fantastic and have a body that is more what you had in your mind the whole time? more muscular, more athletic, and a more realistic lifestyle that goes along with it.